Many of my viewers are AZCOPS members, and hundreds of members contacted us asking for help with vaccine exemption requests. As a result, my staff and I have reviewed dozens and dozens of exemption requests to this point, and I've come up with the top 5 issues that we see when reviewing requests. Now, before you click away, even if you aren't interested in attempting to get an exemption for a COVID vaccine mandate right now, I think you'll find this topic interesting as it impacts law enforcement and, quite frankly, terms and conditions of public employment in some pretty interesting ways. I'm Steve Serbalik, and I'm a panel attorney for AZCOPS in Arizona. So number 5, copying someone else. People seeking an exemption from a vaccine mandate due to a sincerely held moral or religious belief need to talk about their belief, not the belief of someone else. Copying someone else's vaccine exemption request is evidence that you're sharing someone else's perspective, not your own. Number 4, unhelpful answers. Writing back to the lawyer reviewing your paperwork, or even worse, to your agency's HR or legal, and not answering the questions, but instead sending concerns about the fact that mandates exist or that you're forced to answer personal questions for an exemption. Believe me, I get your frustration. I don't find joy in assisting in vaccine exemptions any more than you want to provide the answers, but expressing frustration is not going to help. It's mandated by judicial decisions as to what constitutes reasonable accommodations, so even if you don't like the process, leave that out of your submission. Focus on answering the questions required for an exemption, which, if you need a refresher, are shown here and discussed in more detail in this video linked above. Number 3, people think that you need to be a saint in order to qualify for a moral or religious exemption. This isn't true. You don't need to go to church or temple or whatever every day or even at all to potentially qualify for a moral or religious exemption. The test is whether you have a sincere, deeply held beliefs as to what's right and wrong, which are sincerely held with the strength of traditional religious values. In particular, beliefs related to the meaning of life and death, or the afterlife and the soul, are well protected. So for COVID vaccine exemption requests, you may qualify for a moral or religious exemption even if you aren't what most people would consider a traditionally religious person. Number 2, what I call tinfoil hat claims. I get it. People don't trust the government, but claims that are widely debunked cannot serve as a legal basis for a vaccine exemption. Remember, like it or not, at this point, there is an FDA-approved, widely recommended vaccine that the medical community as a whole deems safe. If you have a doctor's note advising you not to take the vaccines due to concern about side effects or medical issues for you personally, great, you may get a medical exemption. But unless you have that, don't send in emails to me about spike proteins, genetic mutations, you think your kids will have 6 arms, or claims that are not supported by the scientific community if you're seeking a moral or religious exemption. It's not a legal basis. On the other hand, if you're concerned about how the vaccine was developed, if that impacts your personal moral or ethical beliefs, because, for example, the vaccines were developed or tested using aborted fetal cell lines, let me know that. Finally, number 1, ghosting. If you write to me for assistance with a vaccine exemption, I will send you instruction videos and questions for you to answer. If I don't hear back from you, there's nothing that we can do. Or, even worse, if you submit something without having it reviewed first, you are setting yourself up for potential issues in the future. Please get back to me with detailed answers to the questions that we send so that we can work on your exemption request. On the other hand, here are 5 things that you can do to bolster an exemption request. 5, include supporting information. This may be scripture passages that you find particularly important to you, documents or information regarding your church attendance, or a letter from a faith leader recognizing your sincerely held beliefs. Send them to me as attachments, along with exemption request information. Number 4, be detailed. Tell me stories and provide examples of how your moral or religious belief impacts your life in other areas. Does it impact your personal relationships? Are you a parent? And if so, do your beliefs affect how you raise your kids? Things like that help make your exemption request more compelling and more likely to meet legal standards. Number 3, don't shoot the messenger. I don't make the rules, guys. Instead of sending snarky comments about the process that my staff is going to have to weed through, focus on answering the questions. I know you're frustrated. Like I said, we share that frustration, but leave it out of the vaccine exemption requests. Number 2, keep it real. Even if you hold ideas that are outside the mainstream, frankly, sending them as part of your exemption request will not be helpful. Focus on sincerely held moral or religious beliefs, not conspiracy theories. And finally, number 1, be responsive. Help me, help you. We need our clients' feedback to get exemptions done. Once they are done, get them submitted early. We know that this is stressful for everyone involved, but my staff and I have a great track record in getting exemption requests granted for cooperative clients. If you have any questions or comments on this topic, please leave them in the comment section down below. Follow me on Twitter at AZPoliceLawyer and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you think the content is good and you think I've earned the subscription. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.